Hello, everybody out there. Welcome back to another Small Sports Podcast. This week, we are going to be talking to you guys about our favorite games to watch, our starts, sits, and sleepers, and of course, our take on bets. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to all of our content. You can find us for all the video on YouTube, all the audio on Spotify, Apple, and Podbean. And of course, we will be doing more game streaming when it comes down to the small gaming aspect of things, as well as the Pokemon content through the Hollow Hunters. I am Luke. I also have Drake and Dave here with me as well. Thank you all for tuning in. Week 4 had some big scores and some low scores, but there's lots to discuss, boys. Let's jump into it. Dave, what do you got for us?
Let's start off with our question of the week, as we always do. Our question of the week is where we're going to post a pretty significant and relevant question to the social medias for you guys out there to answer. So this week is, with the Jets beating the Titans last week, what's going to be the big upset going forward? What do you boys think about that one?
Well, I feel like my Texans have the ability to beat the Pats. I feel like that's probably a pretty decent underdog story.
It would be.
But I don't know. Drake, what are you thinking?
Oh, I'd love for the good old fashioned Lions
as he reps
to not lion.
You think they can do it against the Vikings?
There can't be that many lion moments in one season. I think we got them all out of the way. Right? The delay of game, whatever happened last week.
Whatever happened last
week. The snap that I can't say what I want to say.
The dick pic, yeah.
Yeah, the dick pic.
Is what it is.
The dick pic there. So, I'd like to say that's the chance, but I mean, there's so many other games that honestly, there's opportunities everywhere.
That's why we posted for everyone else to comment. So we
want to hear what you guys have to say. So make sure that you guys jump onto social media and follow us along with these questions. Let us know your thoughts. Other than that, I think we got to jump into the first segment. It's going to be our small stories. Everybody, this week we will be doing small stories, and I just want to kind of explain it for everybody out there. In our small stories segment, we are going to discuss the developing stories from week to week. So for example, we'll be talking about the big game matchups, underdog stories, some of the player news, and other notable highlights. If there's anything that you guys think we should be discussing, comment, let us know. We definitely want to hear what you guys want to hear. But let's start off with some reflections. Dave, I think you were up first. What did you talk about last week?
Yeah, last week's story, we had a little conversation about some undefeated teams. It turns out only one of those exists now. So in the AFC West, we had Denver lose to the Ravens, which I'm very happy to hear. So the big question going forward is, is Denver a competitive team, or were they just a figment of their schedule? And now we'll have to see how things go. Teddy Bridgewater's hurt. Drew Lock's on the fence. He's not the most phenomenal quarterback, so we'll have to see how that goes. Also in that division, we had the Raiders looking pretty normal against the Chargers, who look to be all of a sudden the most dominating team in that division. Right. And that's also a division that has the Kansas City Chiefs, so that says a lot. But I think that Herbert's looking pretty awesome. In the NFC South, the Carolina Panthers, kind of similar to the Denver Broncos. Were they a result of their schedule? It might have been that way. They are also now no longer undefeated, because the Dallas Cowboys look like a phenomenal team right now. Yeah. Went and smacked them around. And then last, the most anticipated game of the week, probably.
Definitely.
Some would say Tampa Bay and the Pats, but I disagree. I think this one was a big one. But the Rams are no longer undefeated, because they also went up against an undefeated Cardinals team, and the Cardinals team smacked them around.
Smacked them around. Like
domination station.
It was concerning for the Rams, but also eye-opening for the Cardinals. Yeah, it honestly was.
They are now they're number 1 in the power rankings in the NFL standings.
Yeah, and they are the sole undefeated team left. That's crazy.
And number 2 in the power rankings are the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Luke, why don't you reflect on last week?
Oh, yeah. Last week we were talking about New England hosting Tom Brady. That was the dramatic game that we had expected. Absolutely. Tom Brady comes back, gets the W against Belichick, Mac, and the Pats. It was a close game. It was a bad weather game. Mac held his own. He did pretty well. Tom Brady didn't throw any touchdowns, but again, looked pretty good. He didn't end up, of course, breaking the passing record and taking that from Drew Brees, while in Gillette Stadium, of course. So again, just to add the little cherry on top of that cake, he also becomes the third ever QB to win against all 32 teams in the NFL. So definitely a pretty impressive stat there, and that was my story last week. Drake, what did you talk about?
Oh, man. Well, we kind of mixed in a little bit of fantasy talk into our stories because there was just so much to talk about last week.
Yeah.
But we talked about who you should be owning from the waiver wire. Players that could be on the waiver wire, players that are on the waiver wire that probably aren't anymore. And the first off was Mr. Tim Patrick. He was, in on 92% of the snaps this week. We said you should definitely own him. He only recorded 3 receptions and 39 yards, but he should still be owned.
Going forward, yes.
Yeah, he really should. Going forward, you should still own him. I mean, it's one game, sure, and I know that Drew Lock was in there, which could be a little bit different, but I think he's a weapon. I think they're still going to use him. Even if you need to stash him on your bench, it's always just a really good option to have that there with Mr.
Wide receiver,
Tim
Denver
Package.
Broncos.
Yeah.
I just said Tim Package.
You know who you
Tim
are.
Patrick, the package.
Yeah, he is the full package. But then next was our running back, Mr. Peyton Barber.
Hard no.
Our initial feelings about it were right. It felt wrong, and it was wrong. It's one of those situations where you just need to trust your gut.
History will repeat itself.
We called it out in the sense of saying that, he could be on there with Josh Jacobs having a lingering injury, so he may get some more play time, some more snaps. He'd be a good guy to own just in case. But it kind of ended up being the opposite way, in the sense of being like, it's a lingering injury for Josh Jacobs, but he's most likely going to tough through it. And when he tough through it, he's going to play 100% the entire game. Yeah. So it's like, is he even worth kind of it at this point?
And now Peyton Barber has turf toe.
and then he got turf toe. And it's like,
turf toe.
One attempt. Turf toe. See you later. Yeah. And then the last was in the tight end position, Sir Schultz.
Dalton Schultz.
Dalton. He had another great game, tight end. I mean,
From the Cowboys.
Yeah. He reeled in 6 of his 8 targets, 58 yards, and he had another score. Cowboys looking great.
Yep.
He's looking great. He's worth to stay. So I think we definitely called that one right in terms of just making sure that that's a guy you need to pick up on the wire if you didn't have him already.
Yeah, now at this point, even like getting him off the wire, he's like, okay, is this a guy that I'm going to start? Like
Absolutely.
He's definitely a flex option. He could be a tight end 1 starting option.
7 or more targets. 7 or more targets in the last 3 of 4 games. Now.
Yeah. Crazy. But hey, that was the reflections on our stories from last week. Week 5, that's what we really want to get into here. Dave, I want you to start off with week 5, story number 1.
The game of the week. It's the Buffalo Bills.
The game of the
At, jingle. At the Kansas City Chiefs. That's our Sunday nighter.
Yeah.
The Bills get to go to Arrowhead as a 3-1 team, and they're a plus 3.0 underdog.
That's wild.
The Chiefs get to host as a 2-2 team at home. I'd love to hear what you guys think about those odds.
Well, man, I mean, a +3, like that's a big swing for a Bills team who is a number 1 competitor to the Chiefs, I would say. So you're looking at Josh Allen finally getting back into his reps. Zach Moss has been healthy and doing well. Diggs surprisingly slightly quiet, but Emmanuel Sanders is coming out of nowhere and doing well too.
Allen's spreading the ball around well. Using Dawson
Knox. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I don't see them as being that much of an underdog this game. I mean, the Chiefs have been playing okay in the realm of the Chiefs, but if they play that same way against the Bills, like the Bills could win that game.
So the Bills have the number 6 offense on the year. The Chiefs have the number 2 ranked offense.
Right.
However, the Bills have the number 1 rated defense, and the Chiefs have the number 31st rated defense. Now, this could be straight because of Houston Texans last week kind of helping the Bills pad their stats. But I also don't think so. I don't think that's enough to say that the Bills can't go into Arrowhead and smash the Chiefs. The Bills lost to the Chiefs back in January in playoffs. That was a great and good game. I think that McDermott and company are going to go back in there and take some more risks this time around. Maybe go for it on 4th and 1. I think the Bills look a little more complete on offense and on defense. And I think it's time that he steps up and gets this road win that they're going to need. And I don't know. I'm playing the Bills here.
I'd be playing the Bills on this one too, especially like when it comes down to the bet side of things. But I find it funny that you brought up the Texans padding the Bills stats, but yet the Texans kept it close against the Chiefs.
That's what I'm saying. The Chiefs, I don't really fully trust them.
Yeah, like that 2-2 record is a little unredeeming.
The question is, does defense win games?
Yes.
That's what it's going to come down
definitely.
to.
If the Ravens can go and put up 36 points and beat the Chiefs, the Bills can also do that and hold them to less than the 33 or 34 they put up against the Ravens. Like,
Yeah. That's honestly, that's what's going to come down to is defense.
Yeah.
True.
So.
All right, story number 2, boys. I wanted to pick up the waiver wires this week.
go.
So waiver wire must-owns. I really liked this segment last week. I hope you guys did too.
Yeah, my favorite.
I think it's something that is definitely going to be worthwhile to look at again this week. First and foremost, this is for you, Drake. Wide receiver Khalif Raymond with the Lions.
Let's go.
Is it for him though?
Well, hey,
Or is it for me, the guy who got him in all 4 leagues that he's in?
not all 4. I got him in 1 too. But yes, anyway.
Yeah.
I did. No, Khalif Raymond, honestly, he's looking like the number 1 wide receiver there. Tyrell Williams still sitting out. Goff needs somebody to throw to, and it kind of seems like Khalif is the guy that he wants to throw the ball to often. I mean, Amon St. Brown doesn't seem to be doing that much. The other wide receivers aren't huge. People are shutting down Hawkinson, so it's giving Raymond a lot more opportunity to get out there. In week 4 against the Bears, he put up, 2 touchdowns. Pretty casual, not, on 3 catches and 46 yards, and he did do returning as well. So, I mean, if you guys are in leagues that count returning yards, he had 3 returns for 29 yards as well. So that's definitely going to be something to count.
3 more points.
If he's on the wire, you gotta go get him.
If you need a wide receiver, he is definitely worth grabbing. Which I needed a wide receiver in many of my leagues.
Like, he's a flex candidate for sure, and especially in the deeper leagues and that kind of thing. If he's still lingering around, and I mean, for us, he was this week. That's definitely a guy you want to go and find. Yeah. Tight end as well. Max 2X's Williams for the Cardinals. Much like the name suggests, Max Williams is showing up to the max right now.
That's I hate that you
That
did
was a bad joke.
Oh,
Hey,
wow.
I get it.
Yeah.
But I wanted it.
Oh, I know you did. You went and you got it.
I did. Another productive week in week 4 for the Cardinals, or when the Cardinals took it to the Rams. Williams had 5 of 5 catches, 66 yards and a touchdown. This is following up on a pretty strong week in week 3 as well. At a position that continues to have a lot of uncertainty in fantasy, Max is definitely a guy who's merging to not just be like a waiver wire pickup, but like a reliable starter.
You got wicked tattoos too.
Yeah, I think this week is going to be his determining week if he's going to be like a tight end to play.
The Ravens draft good tight ends.
It's true.
Like every
The
tight
one
end they've
thing
ever
that you've
drafted,
always told me.
Ozzie Newsome knows what he's doing. That's what he play. Like it's. I hate to see. I love to see it for Max. I always liked him as a Raven. The Ravens didn't hold on to him long enough, and now it's good to see that he is finally getting his breakout year with a quarterback like Kyler Murray, MVP status. Like, good for him. Good for Max. Go get Max Williams if you don't have him.
It's better. I mean, like, you got Mandrews there.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
The man. So I mean, you let him become a
saying
man.
Hayden Hurst now starting. Well, I guess Kyle Pitts is in Atlanta now too. Yeah. Max Williams in Arizona. Darren Waller in Las Vegas. That one kind of hurts.
That one kind of hurts.
if the Ravens could just help people with their drug problems instead of just letting them go, we'd be sitting on some. We'd have Alex Collins in the backfield. And we'd have Mr. Waller as a nice tight end option. But yeah, anyways, moving on to the running back of choice.
Running back. This one it might be a little bit deeper of a stash, but Jeremy McNichols from the Titans is going to be the pickup, I think, for the waiver wire this week. Again, a lot of uncertainty in the Texans locker room right now. The running back position is always solid. You've got Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry is a beast. But Jeremy McNichols is the guy you want to get off the waiver wire right now. One, as a great handcuff to Henry, because if he gets hurt, that's huge. But also, you should go and look for, the ability to have him pick up catches. Henry doesn't play on 3rd or 4th downs, like at all.
Not very often.
So in those situations, McNichols is the guy out there. He's the one getting those little dump off passes. He's the one who's making catches. So he had 12 targets last game. With no A.J. Brown, with no Julio Jones, 12 targets, 8 catches, 74 yards. He also did have 1 rush for 11 yards. That's with Derrick Henry in the game. That's definitely a guy that's worth picking up because you have him as the handcuff. You have him as somebody that could be in there for a flex for you. I think it's a no-brainer.
Yeah,
100%.
No, I agree.
Yeah, that's going to be my story for the week, guys. So if anybody else out there is thinking that they might have a guy that they picked up on waivers that we missed, let us know. Story number 3, Drake, what do you got for us, brother?
I've got some overachievers.
Nerds.
Something I know very little about. No, no, these are guys who have been essentially really overachieving the first 4 weeks. Guys that you probably picked up off waiver wires that you didn't really maybe expect to, or you had them, but they weren't really maybe your first choice. And it's just turned out really well.
Yeah.
First and foremost,
The biggest.
Mr. Cordero Patterson.
Cordero Patterson.
Like, wow. Like, he's been playing fantastic. Like, so he's been around the league a little bit, and he's had like good opportunities in different places. He was in New England for a bit, and he was in Chicago as well, and he's there. Minnesota, yeah. So he's been around the league for a bit, and
Arthur Smith has figured out this monster of a man.
Yeah. And they've been using him well. I mean, if you look at it, like, he's been sitting at 76 fantasy points in 4 weeks.
That's a lot.
Crazy, man.
Which, if you ask yourself, hey, Cordero Patterson, you want to pick him up? He probably might have 76 fantasy points in 4 weeks. No, he's not.
No, you'd never believe that.
Yeah, you'd never believe it. But in the end, I mean, he mostly went undrafted for most leagues. He's been playing as a running back, also has 70% of his points this year via the wide receiver stats because he's been throwing in the ball, because he was a wide receiver in places like the Patriots and things like that.
He's always played both positions, which is wild.
And then he's had 27 rushes for 119 yards on the ground and a touchdown. He's 18 for 22 for 235 yards and 4 TDs in the air. He's had a really good start, man. Like, wide receiver 3 or wide receiver 4 on the year. If he's somehow available in a league, please go get him.
Yeah. Do yourself a favor.
The note there, Drake, was running back number 3 on the year.
Yeah.
And wide receiver number 4 on the year.
That's what I said.
Like, he counts in both positions in some, not in all fantasy apps. I know some of them are still literally holding them to just one position.
Yeah.
But in majority, he's playing in both, thus counts in both, which leaves him with outstanding stats.
Yeah, he's
like, that's crazy.
Like, he's doing incredible. But in all honesty, like, hey, like, good on him right now, because the guy, like, he's been in the league for a bit, trying to find the way he's been, a team that maybe he wanted to be on, the position he's wanted to play.
Yeah.
And really trying to do a stand, and he's had a standout year. So, I mean, Cordell Patterson, man,
good.
Love to
we
see
know
it.
you're watching, man. So, good on you, buddy.
Love to see it.
Number 2, Mike Williams and Jamar Chase for the wide receiver position. Mike Williams, I mean, he's been getting lots of love from Herbert. Both these guys got young QBs, but it's nice to see the young QBs are starting to they're finding their target. Every great QB has had their target, right? Aaron Jones,
gotta have your guy.
Aaron Jones, he's got his Devontae Adams.
Brady,
Aaron Rodgers
has every. I get Gronk. All right, well, I was gonna say everybody, but it's Gronk. But I mean, you're gonna have for the longest time, you have Matt Ryan and Julio, guys like that. Right? You've always got your target.
So on and so forth.
Exactly. So I mean, Mike Williams and Herbert seem to be connecting really well. It's been he's been a huge target for the end zone and really anywhere on the field. He's got 69 points on the year already, 35 targets, reeling in 23 of them for 306 yards, 4 scores already. It's good to see him take the lead.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Especially with, Keenan Allen having been a pivotal player there for the long while. Mike Williams is the big guy for the red zone. But even still, 306 yards. That's nothing to sneeze at either.
Yep. So we also have Jamar Chase, though. So, I mean, the guy who's clearly shown that he can catch a football after preseason. It's just been fantastic. He's seeing whatever type of ball that is being thrown at him, whether it's a baseball, tennis ball, football, whatever color the ball is, he's catching it. Yeah. I mean, he's another 4 TD scorer. He's shown that he's an elite wide receiver in the league right now. He's worth where he came in the draft. So he's been kind of silencing a lot of doubters that are out there. And him and Joe Burrow have shown that they do have chemistry. It came from what they had before. They picked it up really quickly. Yeah. You don't see this type of chemistry really pick up that fast. Like if you look at Herbert and Williams, who we just talked about, it took 2 seasons. Mm-hmm. Well, Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase has taken the season to start.
Yeah. So they got through the preseason and that was enough. They're ready to go.
I mean, they had college together.
Exactly.
But it's good to see it carry over.
Yeah.
Who do you want going forward? Mike Williams or Jamar Chase?
With my new addiction to Dynasty Leagues, Jamar Chase.
Yeah.
Just the youth there, the connection with Joe Burrow. It looks like there's a connection there that the top wide receivers and top quarterbacks in history have had. And so if they have that now, you could probably see a storyline of them staying together as long as they can. So
Yeah.
I think so too.
I mean, dynasty, I would say probably Jamar as well. But in a redraft league, I think it's a good idea to have Mike Williams. He is that big red zone target, like we were saying. They both have good measures, but I would probably go for Jamar myself.
Flip a coin.
Yeah, exactly.
Both
Same
great.
thing.
Both great. What else you got, Drake?
Oh,
Last but not least,
the QBs.
Yes.
Sam Darnold, which I'm okay with. Daniel Jones, ladies and gentlemen.
Weird.
Daniel Jones. I mean, he only 6 QBs are ahead of these 2 guys through 4 weeks.
It's crazy.
Which you would never have thought of Daniel Jones
Not a chance.
of having that happen. In all honesty. So, but I mean, hey, good on him. I mean, like, it is kind of crazy considering that a lot of both these guys probably went undrafted in your league unless it was a deep league that you needed a backup quarterback or something like that. But they both sit with 98 points on the year. And I think it's safe to say that, that's not really expected.
Even guys like Lamar and Josh Allen are behind them. That's crazy.
Season's early,
That's true. It's true.
but we do hope they continue doing what they're doing because it is good to see them out there.
Yep. So, I mean, both teams both guys are playing well. They're finding their targets. Really wish Daniel Jones would throw the ball to Kenny Galladay, but yeah, well,
That's your bias coming in.
I'm gonna send him an email later. No. But yeah, I mean, I think it's safe to say. I mean, I don't know with you guys, Sam or Daniel, does anyone's kind of pique your interest most, like that caught you more off guard? Or
off guard more is Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
I think I've always been a Sam Darnold truther.
Yeah.
I always thought that the Mr. Gaze fucking sucked.
Yeah.
He sucks the life out of every player that's ever left that team. Now they do well, right? So I think the big thing going forward though is that Daniel Jones' schedule is not nearly as smooth sailing as Sam Darnold. But both of them are using their legs, which is, as we've seen develop over the last few years. Quarterbacks that can move the ball with their legs usually have more upside. Sam Darnold and Daniel Jones, if they're floating around, go get them before we...
I think Darnold is the guy you trust a little bit more. Just a little bit. I mean...
Better weapons.
Yeah, better... Well, I mean, Saquon, CMC, DJ Moore, Galladay. I don't know. They're not the same, but like it's just... There's still weapons for both of them. I just think Darnold is the more trustworthy QB. Personally.
Okay. Yeah, fair.
Except for the fact that DJ Moore single-handedly beat me in my fantasy team this week. So yeah,
Speaking of fantasy,
yeah, exactly. You ruined my segue. Let's jump into some fantasy. Alrighty then. So let's jump into our fantasy segment, like we just said. In our fantasy segment, we are going to be talking about our favorite players, predicting which players are going to be good options for a start or sit, and we're even going to jump into some sleeper candidates to help you get ahead in your league and win your week. We're going to share some strategies and what we think we can help with your leagues, and we're going to reflect on our last week's choices, good and poor.
Go ahead, Luke. Start it
So
out.
the good and the bad, and I think I
Exactly.
might be jumping in that to start. So my reflections from last week, I did running backs to start and sit. I said start AJ Dillon. Starting off with a pretty good call. In all honesty, it wasn't too bad. Dillon mustered 10.2 points, beating his projection of 7 points. He had 15 rushes, 81 yards, and he had a catch for 16 yards as well. The Packers caught a comfortable lead at half, and Aaron Jones had a fumble early on. That led to AJ getting plenty of late game work. My sit candidate was Tony Pollard versus the Panthers. That was a fair call to sit Tony as well. He was just missing his target, just shy at 6.7 of his 7 projected points. He had 10 rushes for 67 yards, nothing in the air. So Tony posted a decent game in the backup role to Zeke, with the Cowboys turning it back up a notch, and a matchup against the Giants in Week 5. There is a possibility that Tony could have a nice fresh breath of life. I don't know. We'll find out.
The Cowboys seem to really have figured out how to use Zeke right now. So it's how to use them both really. So it's good to see it. Good to see it going forward.
Yeah,
You're seeing that more popular now. You're seeing teams that are balancing 2 running backs to keep their star running backs healthy. Cleveland's another team doing it right now.
Yep, exactly. And then QB, I had start Jacoby Brissett. Not the right call. Not at all the right call. The Dolphins struggled against the Colts. Brissett only had 199 yards. He was 20 of 30 for his passing attempts. He did have 2 touchdowns, but he walked away with 12.76 points.
Fumble didn't help.
Yeah, that definitely didn't work. Week 5 sees him against Tampa Bay, and at this rate, Brissett's probably not a viable streamable option.
I would not play him against
Dolphins
Tampa.
are just crying out for Tua.
Yeah, I think they're definitely missing him. My sit was Mac Jones. Probably not right, but also not completely wrong. He posted up a 17.9 point performance against a nice competitive Tom Brady. Mac had thrown 31 for 40 in passing attempts, 275 yards, 2 touchdowns, did have an interception. He was also sacked 4 times. So it was a very competitive game between 2 great QBs, but all in all, pretty mediocre stat line for Mac.
I think aside from fantasy, I think that Mac Jones, we wanted to sit him because we knew he'd have to throw the ball. And not only did he not do that, I think what happened was he outdid what we thought would come of him.
True.
He showed the football world, because everyone was watching that game, that he is a startable quarterback going forward, and he will turn the Patriots back into what they're used to, a good competitive team. So it's good to see.
It's fair to say that probably the weather was a factor in changing the strategy, because there's a good chance they might have thrown the ball a bit more, pending that weather was a little bit better.
31 or 40
Still a lot.
in that weather is
That's a lot.
yeah. But they were it was like a close game. They were constantly trailing too, so it was
Yeah. Dave, what was your reflection this
I had
week?
the tight ends position here. I said to start Tyler Conklin against the Cleveland Browns, and boy, did I whiff on that one. It was a low-scoring game with the Browns. The Vikings offense, it was kind of muted pretty early. They only had 1 touchdown from my boy Justin Jefferson. Conklin did have 4 receptions, but only 18 yards.
Yeah.
So hopefully Kirk Cousins and the school can get back to their gunslinging ways going forward against the Lions. And I would start Conklin again this week. Just
It
Lions,
wasn't the
right?
shootout that we thought it was going to end up being.
Nah.
Really,
both defenses
It was-
decided to show up.
Yeah.
I said to sit Jonnu Smith versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Unfortunately, it looks like this one was a bit of a miss as well. Hunter Henry was the superior tight end in terms of snap percentage, receptions, targets, etc., etc. Jonnu found himself in the end zone. On one of his 3 receptions, right? So that gave him, and that's what you want with the tight end. You want someone to get you in the end zone. Drake, wide receivers, how do we land there?
Well, to continue our trend of this was not another good option. We chose to start Nicole Hartman against Philadelphia. Really thought that, they'd be coming back hard against them from their loss last week. They came back hard, just not with Hartman. So, it was an underwhelming call. Hartman only managed to get 2 catches for 16 yards and 5.10 points. So as a wide receiver 2 on the Chiefs, you'd think that he would have had more of an opportunity. But, there's always Tyreek Hill that just runs around the field maddening without losing any energy at all and still doing flips in the end zone. It doesn't make sense.
3 touchdowns, almost 200 yards.
Yeah, he's a monster. He's just an absolute monster. Yeah, exactly. 3 touchdowns. He had 11 receptions, 12 targets, 186 yards. That's what Hill had. Nuts. So with Josh Gordon training as well, you don't know how much more you're going to be able to expect from McColl this season. It may take Josh a few weeks. So, if there's an odd chance that you have Hardman, you have a wide receiver injured and another one injured and one that decides not to play.
Oh my God.
Then
move along.
You really
maybe
don't
you
know
want
the
to do
depth
it.
there.
So, anyway, so then we also chose to sit Robbie Anderson against the Cowboys. Well, Robbie did improve on his last 2 performances in the weeks 2 and 3. The sit was the right call here. Robbie had 11 targets, but he only managed to do 5 receptions for 46 yards. That's only 7.4 fantasy points. So like McColl, Robbie took the back burner this week. DJ Moore had an incredible game. He had 113 yards, 2 touchdowns. The Panthers lost, but Darnold kept them competitive. He was throwing for 301 yards, and he had 2 touchdowns while rushing for his own, surprisingly, 4th and 5th rushing TDs this year, calling his own number. Luke, you were super happy about that, I remember.
Crazy, man. It's a foolish stat. That's wild.
It is kind of foolish, honestly.
And I did start Chuba this week.
Yeah. And there's no CMC in the mix. So, Robbie Anderson will be in the mix enough going forward, I'm sure. But it's definitely something that you want to keep an eye on just to see if DJ Moore is going to start sucking up a lot of those options there. So
True.
Luke, your sleepers.
Yeah, we'll recap our sleepers right at the same time here, folks, too. Sleepers for me, I had the tight end position, Mike Gesicki. Far less targets than this week for Big Mike. He caught 5 of 6 for 57 yards, but he did get a touchdown, though.
That's what you want.
So there you go. His score was still comparable. Looks like Brissett definitely seems to like the old Big Mike, the big target, putting up another good week for fantasy at 14.2 points. Good sleeper call.
At quarterback position, Jameis Winston against the Giants. Talked herself off the Winston train in this one here, folks. You know, man, like he's so bipolar. He's up and down. It's so crazy. He threw for only 226 yards. He had 1 touchdown, and they lost to the Giants in overtime. Are the Saints pretenders without Breeze? Are they just pretending? It's hard to say, right? And you know, Taysom got more work too, right? So it's tricky.
It's true.
Is
Sean Payton kind of like shutting Winston down, keeping him in check? I don't know.
Who knows?
So I don't think it'll be enough that we're going to see Taysom Hill like that much.
It's not.
I wouldn't want to own either one of them.
No, I wouldn't touch a quarterback there. No, for sure.
True.
Christian Kirk.
Yeah, that one was not a good one. I was hoping you guys would just skip over it.
I was looking at Dave. I was like, "Yeah, you're just with." Oh, you just want
to. I don't want to do this.
Yeah, the Cardinals won their game. Offense looked amazing, but it's kind of like same as like the Chiefs. Like everything went everywhere except for to Christian. Which in both the Chiefs game and this game, our projection was that the defenses they're playing should have done their jobs, so that those other guys would have a chance to be open.
Yeah.
No. These quarterbacks. Maybe it's like, I think it might be the coach call, like the actual play calling is working so well that they don't have to look to their second look. Their first look is open all the time because they're calling the right plays.
Mm-hmm.
But
and
maybe that's just big brain thinking, right? But
yeah.
If you own Christian Kirk, keep him. He is talented. He's on a phenomenal offense. Last week was not his week.
AJ Green's just starting to come into his own as well. There
getting a lot more looks.
He's a quarterback now.
Yeah,
yeah, it's crazy.
It's crazy. Like he's starting to look like a player that he used to be, and it was just kind of like, oh, okay, well, so Christian Kirk, where he used to be in that number 2 spot, is kind of maybe dropping to a number 3 now. So
tough offense to have pieces a part of, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So I had a sleeper call, Sir Kenneth Gainwell, which is what he gets the Sir this week because we nailed it.
Yeah.
Gainwell got the work this week. He put up 17.9 fantasy points. So.
Solid.
That was solid. Like,
Super solid as a backup.
We'll hang that one up on the wall later. It was 31 rushing yards. He had a rushing touchdown, and he had 6 receptions for 58 yards. So he simply just outworked Miles Sanders, straight up.
Yeah.
And even in the game where the Eagles were playing from behind against the Chiefs, Gainwell still stood strong and had a great fantasy week. And we'll see if he keeps it up because... you don't see that from running backs often. When a team is down, they're typically airing the ball out so much to receivers and that. But clearly, they were checking the ball down, doing a lot of screen plays, but also just doing those small tosses where he's going to get those 6 receptions for 58 yards. So I mean,
surprising that he outworked Miles Sanders. I wonder what Sanders' value is going to be coming down the stretch.
In that offense, though, we mentioned that they were down and trailing, and that's why Kenneth got more work because he is the pass catching guy versus Miles, who's the run the rock and pound it down the middle, right? But so that was reflections of our starts and sits. So going forward, we'll talk about this week's choices. In this portion of our fantasy football coverage, we're going to give you the opinions on who you should be playing this week. So let's have a nice introduction to it. Starts and sits. So the way this segment works, we're going to take 2 players of the same position and of similar projected points, and we're going to throw our opinion at you of who we think you should start and who we think you should sit. And that being said, of course, if you disagree or agree with us, make sure you let us know.
Definitely.
So I'll start off with a running back that I'm starting to really enjoy, Javonte Williams, running back for the Broncos. They are in Pittsburgh. This guy is he's just coming off as an absolute beast right now, man. Did you guys see him running with 5 Ravens just draped on his back?
Like just no going down. Like
he was
stopping.
He was literally piggybacking one guy as he trucked like another 7 or 8 yards.
Yeah.
Like it was just unreal.
I also remember you yelling that he's running.
Yes.
5 of them, you're like, get him down.
Just tackle him.
Yeah. I'm sure a lot of people heard him too.
Yeah. Now, that being said, They're playing the Steelers. The Steelers are not the Steelers that we're used to in terms of defense. Williams and Melvin Gordon, they're a solid 1-2 punch, and I expect that he'll find the end zone again this week.
Completely agree.
I'm going to be sitting Mark Ingram, your Houston Texans running back, being hosted by the Patriots. It's just too tough to make the right choice in that running back roulette right now.
It's true.
No, it's true.
I assume the Texans will trail a bit, so I have to think that David Johnson and Phillip Lindsay should see some of the work and split it up that way. And they've been split like evenly since week 1. So because of that, I'm going to say avoid all of them if you can. Both projected Mark Ingram and Javonte Williams at 8 points. We think that you should start Javonte Williams and sit Mark Ingram.
He is easily the one who's most likely to get that 10 to 12 points for Javonte. And like you were saying with Ingram, man, as a Texans fan, I like having the option to use all 3 of them. As a fantasy football player, I hate it. It's rough because you have no idea who's going to do well. It was kind of like a one-off for the first week or 2 where they all scored, and now it's just that's not happening. Yeah. Davis Mills is not the guy that fills in for them and does well.
That's such the iconic conundrum when you have a player on your team that's also part of your favorite team that you have.
Yeah.
Because you want to play him. You want to, but in the end,
want to have something to cheer for.
It's like if you cheer for the Patriots, the only running back you want was James White. Because he's the only one you knew that was going to do something. But I mean, now you're not. But that's going forward.
Speaking of doing something, my tight end start of the week, Jack Doyle, Indianapolis Colt at Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens have been a good defense, not quite what we're used to seeing because, of course, there's 538 people on injured reserve. I think it's actually 21, not that much, but
2,100.
Yeah. Anyways, the Ravens seem to be getting to the quarterback okay, but they haven't been doing very well against play action. Waller beat them up. Kelsey beat them up. Noah Fant beat them up. I'm imagining that a few fakes to Jonathan Taylor is going to let Jack Doyle do his thing and carve him up too.
That's a fair call.
Yeah.
And Jack has not been super outstanding. Mo Alley Cox actually had the touchdown last week, but I think he is probably the most likely to see more snaps because Mo Alley Cox was not on the field for a ton of snaps last week.
And to make things even easier for viewers watching, 2 things are going to happen. One of 2. It's either the Baltimore Ravens are going to see Jack Doyle as a non-threat and not change their game plan like they should, he will carve them up. Or 2, they're going to say, tight ends have been absolutely destroying us, and we're going to focus on defending them, and he's not going to do it. I think that they're going to look at the other threats on Indy, just like you said. And I don't think they're going to think about Jack Doyle. They're going to think about Taylor. They're going to think about their wide receivers there, and they're going to try and put more pressure on a semi-hurt kind of, Wentz, who's
I think that's redundant, right?
Yeah.
Hurt, like a kind of hurt Wentz. Just say Wentz, right? But Wentz loves his tight ends too, though. Wentz does love his tight ends as well, right? So, now that being said, someone else who was also projected 6 points is I'm going to be sitting Dan Arnold. He is now your Jacksonville Jaguars starting tight end, and they're hosting the Titans. Man, poor Dan Arnold.
Poor Darnold.
Gets traded from the Panthers, who were 3-0 at the time, to go to the Jaguars. That is a rough life.
Going at that point from undefeated to no wins.
Yeah. And going into a team that has a bunch of stuff going on in the dressing room.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff at the helm there for them. So hopefully they can figure things out and become an actual competitive team. Now, that being said, I think Dan Arnold going forward is a very intriguing target for Trevor Lawrence, but not yet. He's still way too new to that system, and they got to figure things out first. So if you can start somebody else, do it.
Good call. Picking up right here as well with the wide receivers, I'm going to be starting Deontay Johnson. So your Steelers, man, going against the Broncos. The Steelers have the offense do not have the offense that we had expected them to, much like we were saying before. They haven't been able to find any sort of scoring consistency, and now they're also seeing a lot of wide receivers out. Chase Claypool injured, Juju injured. That leaves Deontay Johnson to be the guy who's going to get the fantasy stats.
Yes.
Last week he did have 9 receptions on 13 targets, 92 yards, and a score. So that's just a prime example of what he can do. If Juju and Claypool are still out or iffy, then Deontay is inevitably going to see more use. So that projected 13 points, he's going to smash it. And to sit, I said Marvin Jones Jr., so following the Jags trend, apparently.
Don't start anyone on the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah, it's pretty safe to say they don't win a lot. So Jags against Titans again. MJJ's been consistent all season, but coming into week 5, he's wide receiver 25 in PPR leagues. He's seen, a slip in his usage every week, more and more. Trevor Lawrence is seeming to learn the Jags offense in different ways, and like Dave was just saying, the Urban Meyer of it all. They just listed Tavon Austin as wide receiver 1 on that team. So I don't know what's going on with the coaching staff there.
They don't know what's going on with that coaching staff.
They have no idea.
With all those question marks, and even with Chark being sidelined, you just gotta put MJJ on the bench and let that offense figure out what they're doing.
And with young quarterbacks, you see them as the season goes on, they try to get a little bit more used to having like one wide receiver they get real comfortable with, and they'll keep kind of focusing on
Visca Chanel Jr.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, that's definitely a huge thing. So yeah, I echo that, Luke. I have some starts and sits this week as well.
Wow, look at you go, buddy.
I know.
Good for you.
Ryan Tannehill, as I
fire him up.
Yes,
move him over here so people can see him. Yeah, Ryan Tannehill. I don't think he's gonna like that he lost last week. I'd straight up it, and I don't think that the Titans organization are gonna let that be, and they're gonna come in and want to really make a statement down. You're going against Jacksonville Jaguars. God, we're picking on them, man.
We're really just hammering on that point.
There's another team in the NFL that's also 0-4.
Yeah,
I don't know. We don't pick on them as much.
Yeah, they're not the Jags.
No idea who you're talking about.
Moving on.
Anyways,
Covers the shirt.
the Titans are coming off of a pretty rotten loss against the Jets in OT last week. So he's going to go up against a team that has even worse off than New York does, and that would be the Jags. So he should
start
be able to, just start him, because he's going to be able to carve up that defense with arms, with his legs. He's going to run. He's going to pass. Even if Julio and AJ Brown are playing or not playing, he's going to find a way to carve them up, because they're going to use them. They're going to be a very diverse and versatile offense. I think they're going to change up a bit, and Jacksonville's not going to know what hit them.
I just hope they can stop. I hope they can stop Jacksonville on defense.
Yeah,
because their defense is brutal.
The Titans' defense isn't great, but that also makes Ryan a more playable option.
Exactly. Yeah.
If it is something that ends up being a semi-competitive game, that means Tannehill better prove his lights out.
So for those of you who don't know the Matt Ryan effect, if you're a good quarterback and your defense is absolutely brutal, you are a phenomenal fantasy quarterback, because you'll spend more time chucking the ball, trying to play catch up.
Yep.
That's what's going to happen against for Ryan Tannehill.
Yeah.
He's going to be playing.
And all it
keep
takes is one screen pass on their 10-yard line to Derrick Henry for him to run to the other end of the field, and you've got a lot of fantasy points.
Very true.
So
he is a trustworthy guy.
Honestly, it's just he got weapons, and I'm sure he's going to get one of them back this week. I feel like so.
This guy you're about to mention, has a lot of weapons, but you're sitting him.
Yes, which is interesting. But we are, because in the end, you got to sit somebody, and Sir Joe Burrow gets to sit this week.
All right.
Dun, dun, dun.
So, yeah, exactly. They're hosting the Packers. I mean, the Packers seem to be getting back on track. I mean, don't get me wrong, the Bengals look great. We just talked about how him and Jamar Chase are really picking it up. But in the end, the Packers are going to be all over them with their front line. They're going to put pressure on Joe Burrow. They're going to show different looks at Joe Burrow that he hasn't been seeing throughout the weeks. And they're really good. There's a veteran coaching staff that's on that Packers sideline there that are going to really want to put the hurt on a young quarterback, and they're going to confuse him. They're going to throw different looks at him, and it's definitely going to hurt Joe. So I think you got to sit him this week.
We're pretty high on Joe. Maybe he proves us wrong, but I think that's probably a fair call. When you're looking at both guys who are going to score projected for 20 points, Tannehill in that matchup definitely makes way more sense.
I agree.
Definitely does. I mean, in the end, if you had to pick one quarterback or one position to not listen to us on, you could probably still play Joe Burrow with a decent chance he could play well. It's not horrible. But if you had to pick one or the other, Tannehill's going to be the choice this week.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
We got another fantasy segment, Drake. Drop us in.
Yeah. This is the one that we just added in a little cool graphic for, and we don't have any jingle for it yet. So, Dave, give us a jingle. No.
You're tired.
Yeah.
I just took some melatonin.
All right, y'all. For small sleepers, this is the last category that we have for fantasy football. This will be where we tell you players that you might find on the waiver wire, somebody that you might have stashed on your bench, guys that could be in a flex position and a candidate to start. So if you've got injuries to your studs, if you're looking to fill a hole in a bye week, if you're looking to get a leg up on the week, these are guys that could surprise you. Dave, start off with wide receiver for me, buddy.
We're going to follow suit here. We're looking at wide receiver Nick Westbrook-Ikhine. Tennessee Titan wide receiver at Jacksonville. Yep, that's the world's longest name in football that I probably butchered, so I apologize for that. But the Jags have been bad. The Jags have been really bad, and they're having some issues in the coaching department, as we discussed earlier. I expect that to be a pretty decent distraction. The Titans do not look phenomenal. They don't. They just gave the Jets their first win of the season. Mm-hmm. But A.J. Brown may be out. Julio Jones probably out. I'd expect the targets to keep up for Westbrook. He had 8 last week. I don't know if you always saw that. He had 8 targets, and I definitely think he's going to outscore his projected 7 points. So fire him up.
Yeah. We're going to get off the Titans and Jags train here. I have quarterback this week, and I'm saying the Matt Ryan effect.
Hey.
There we go. Tie it all in. Falcons versus the Jets.
Across the pond.
Yeah, and it's going to be an early morning game. We've done a lot of chirping and harping on the Falcons as well at the beginning of the year, but Matt Ryan finally had his classic Matty Ice game against the Redskins last week, and I'm ready to get hurt again. Yeah. I think he can put up a juicy matchup here against the Jets. They're 1-3. Even with projecting 20 points, I'm seeing Matt Ryan go off for bigger numbers. Maybe we finally see Pitts get his first touchdown.
I would imagine this is Pitt's first touchdown game.
This should be a good game for them to really take it home. Again, Cordero Patterson being outstanding. I think he has an opportunity to have another blow-up game with Matt here too. So if you're looking for a streamable and likely on waivers QB option, Matt Ryan's your sleeper of the week.
Mm-hmm.
Drake, what you got for me on running back, brother?
Oh, I'm so happy about this one.
That is an incorrect player.
Yeah,
Apologies.
I was just gonna say, wow, look, he put these in here.
It was
Zach Moore.
Zach M.
He's from Concordia, St. Paul, undrafted free agent.
Fire him up.
Definitely fire him up and get
Free
him
agent
going.
just got picked up.
Yeah, go grab me before your buddies do.
We'll do some in-game adjustments here as we talk about a Buffalo Bill,
The proper Zach M.
that I do own.
That
I do own in my fantasy league, Mr. Zach Moss. Yeah. So they're playing the Chiefs. The Bills have established their run. The Chiefs have not established their run defense. They really haven't. It's really simple math, straight up. I mean, the Bills are going to have to make a plan to beat the Chiefs. As we mentioned before, Chiefs have the ranked 31st overall defense.
Not great, Bob.
32 teams? Just in case anybody doesn't know. So then they'll need to utilize a run, obviously. So expect a high-scoring game with Moss. Yeah, I mean, he's going to do a punch-in 1 or 2 at least, I think, when it comes to it. I mean, I know that Singletary's still there, but Zach Moss has been playing so well that he's going to get the reps. He's going to be I think their X factor in beating the Chiefs team.
And he's only projected for like 9 points.
And I'm saying this when they beat the Chiefs. So I'm calling the Bills to beat. I'm calling it.
We're going to get there for the old Betsies there soon. Mm-hmm. Last one, Drake. We got tight ends. What do you got, brother?
Yes, I also have...
Austin Huzmanak.
Yeah.
A free agent again.
I hate you. I hate you all.
Just so you know, it's Luke's responsibility to make sure that was right.
You had one job.
But yeah, it's Austin Hooper. Great option, I think, running into this week. I mean, the Chargers do look amazing defensively and offensively, but however, even with the known game plan that Darren Waller coming at you, they're still going to have to get into the end zone. And when you look at Hooper, he should get an open target from Baker this week, I think, in the end zone. He's a good tall option. He's going to be available in the end zone. They're going to be focusing on a lot of other receivers there, especially with OBJ being back, just that tall threat on the outside. Hooper, I believe, will find an opening in that end zone, which will make it worth starting him this week. I think.
The Chargers are going to have their hands full with Chubb and Hunt and even Felton. Mm-hmm. Like, he's been getting some looks on the run game. So if they're really focused on taking that run game out of it, OBJ, Hooper, those are going to be big guys that Baker can look for. So I think you're probably
strong
right
strong
there.
running back, like strong running offenses like when there's so much effort going towards your running backs, a lot of that is linebacker responsibility, which leaves openings for your tight ends on those little dump offs right over the offensive and defensive line.
Yep.
So when you get to that end zone, you need that short 3-yard pass or 5-yard pass. You do a play action of Chubb or Hunt running in there. All you need is a little dump off. If everybody bites on it, you got a touchdown. So
And well, he's only projected for 6 points, so there you go. He gets that one touchdown, and you got it.
Yeah,
so if you need it.
On Monday night, the Chargers defended their conference title in this case against the Las Vegas Raiders. And really, who are you going to focus the most on, right? It's Darren Waller. And like you mentioned, that Darren Waller is able to get in the end zone, and your focus is on him. Hooper's going to be able to do the same. And you're not going to be focusing on him. They like the Chargers' pass defense. Their pass rushing is so phenomenal when it comes to stopping the run. I think that the Browns will definitely take advantage of some play action here and get Hooper in the end zone.
Makes sense.
Yep.
Makes sense.
I agree, but let's jump into like a really fun
final segment
of the day where we all get to make money or lose it. Our small spreads of the week.
Show me the money. Little Jerry Maguire for you.
Oh man.
So in our small risks, big rewards segment, I'm gonna be mostly me throwing some tips at you guys out there for some for some games, for some spread picks.
Whoa, I'm gonna give him bad advice.
Of course.
All right.
We're gonna give you our calls on the money line winners, some good spread bets to make, what games we think that are best for the over and under totals. And for those following along, we also use ProLine Stadium bets for our odds. So we'll jump right into it.
Sirree,
I have to do this
Bob.
separation thing here where I can make sure that my stuff is not
Make sure you're looking at the right
too
one.
far off from what it was
Yeah,
now.
because we do this 5 minutes before it, and then as we're going through the podcast and doing it, we go and look on it. Oh, the odds have changed. Great, and it's just
So it's just crazy how actually I put a bet in earlier on ProLine, and like as I hit confirm, it asked me, it was like, are you sure? And there's like the Bills spread changed from like 2.19 to 2.24 in the time frame
of me
clicking confirm.
Changes happen on a whim.
Okay, computer, snap to the side. Why are you garbage? All right, here we go.
It's an old computer.
It's doing its best, and its best is not great, guys. All right, here we go. So, first game is the Thursday nighter, the Rams at Seattle. These have not changed to what I can see. That's great news. I am taking the Rams as a smart bet here. My heart tells me to go with Seattle, but I'm going to take my brain and say that the money line of the Rams bounce back against the Cardinals is looking in favor. So I would also take the spread there of the 2.5, and I'd probably take an over in this game, boys.
Going straight across the top.
Straight across the top.
Beauty. Love it.
Ooh, man.
Oh, jolly old England. All right, so we've got the Jets. Is this a home game for the Jets? It feels like it's a home game for the
neutral
Jets.
site.
Yeah, but it feels like it's a home game for the Jets.
Yeah.
Do you think London cares about New York?
Buddy, they're coming off a win right now, Luke.
Yeah.
All right, it is home. Wherever they are, it's home.
Fair.
I'm taking the Jets.
Weird.
2.45. It's a good payout for a team that is kind of high. The Falcons, I still can't bet for them, even though I did one time by mistake and they won for me. Yeah. Jets money line, Jets spread. I'm not touching the over-under because I don't know what the hell to expect.
Very true. Probably I would go Atlanta, but I mean the money looks good for the Jets if they can pull it together.
Drake, anything? Nothing?
I'm jumping on the train.
Woo-hoo!
Jets, baby. Let's go.
J-E-T-S,
Actually,
Jets.
isn't that a plane, boys?
All right.
Jumping on the plane, not the train.
Yeah.
I hated
next
that.
game. Third game, Drake. What do we got? We've got the Denver Broncos at the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's Denver. It's the visiting team. Pittsburgh is not nearly the team that they should be. Denver got beat by the Ravens, who I think are a much better team than Pittsburgh at this point. 1.99 is a nice payout for a
Even if
game.
Locke plays?
I lean towards them a lot more if Teddy's in. But if Locke's in, I still think Denver's defense is going to make Big Ben do Big Ben stupid things.
I love how they have it as
Good point.
I love how
Good
they
point.
have it as a low scoring.
Yeah,
But
that's like 39 and a
tight
half
game, like
Take the
tight
under.
game.
I'm taking the under.
Yeah, you're taking the under.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to score.
Sloppy. All right. Drake's game of the week. The Detroit Lions at the Minnesota Vikings.
God, their odds are always so bad whenever we look at it. So
really
like this-
bad.
It's because your team is really bad,
Dave, we almost beat you. If it wasn't
But-
for Justin Tucker.
but you didn't. So they're 0-4.
Shoulda, coulda,
The other
woulda.
0-4 team like the Jacksonville Jaguars. And money line, if you want to bet money line, I think the safe bet is Minnesota. But I will be taking the Detroit Lions spread.
Yeah.
Keep it tight. Take the over.
I would also take the over. That's correct.
49.5. That makes sense.
Next game.
Mm-hmm.
This is a game that this might be the best Sunday afternoon game out of all of them, really, which is kind of weird because it's just not a strong slate. Green Bay at Cincinnati. Do we have any changes? No. Cool. Good stuff. I'm taking Green Bay on the road. Money line. I'm taking their spread, and I think it's going to be an under.
Yeah, I think an under is pretty fair there at 51.5. I feel like it's probably a little bit much to expect out of Cincinnati at that point too, but it's a Packers win.
Yep. Miami at Tampa Bay. I don't got to travel too far, which is kind of nice, right?
Is that the lowest? That's the lowest odds this week.
This is by far the biggest upset if Miami can pull it off, and that's why we're picking the Buccaneers.
They've done it against the Patriots before when Tom Brady was there. I mean, I'm just saying.
Well, they're not. Miami's not at home. They're on the road.
Ow.
And they're not the Patriots. They're the Buccaneers.
It's a good point.
Yeah.
And,
Valid.
and it's brisket.
Yeah.
Brisket.
Yeah. Well, who knows?
Yes, it's a good point because that was Tannehill when they did that last time. I think it was right, and they had Kenyon Drake, I think, on that team, and
The miracle.
Totally different.
and a couple
position.
laterals at the end of the game to win it. So it's a far fetched.
We're taking Tampa Bay. If you really want to, make 18 cents on the dollar, Tampa Bay money line. Take the spread for Tampa Bay, and I'm probably going to take the over as well.
Just on Tampa alone.
Just on Tampa alone. Miami, they've been letting me down this year. I was really hopeful for them. New England Patriots at the Houston Texans. I usually I have 1, 2, and 3. This one I'm just New England money line. The rest of it's just too. There's just too much going on. I don't know. Houston could stay within 8.5. I don't think they will though. I don't know.
And under 40. That's definitely going to happen. They're not going to hit 40 points together.
New England could though.
Maybe.
Buffalo put up 40 points on their own.
Yeah.
What
but
if
that's
Mills
Buffalo.
just has a career game? Which isn't much. I mean, it could be 2
240
touchdowns.
yards.
Doesn't have interceptions.
Doesn't have interception.
New England money line next game.
Oh man.
Saints
Nice.
head on the road to Washington. I'm taking Washington money line here. I think they're at home. New Orleans loses to not great teams. They beat good teams. Like they're a weird team overall. I think that Washington takes a step forward in the right direction this week. I think that 2.12 is a great payout for them at home. I think you take them, you take the spread, you take the under.
Yeah. Heineke's really finding his own, I think, right now. I don't even know if Ryan Fitzmagic is going to get that ball back.
I don't even know if finding his own is okay. It matters when it's just Jameis can't find himself.
Yeah, but I'm just talking about Washington being half decent.
I'd be surprised if Jameis puts his shoes on the right feet. Next
It
game.
could also be
L.
the game that the Washington defense needs to get back on track and be the Washington defense that I need them to be, that they were projected to be.
Possible.
All right. Sorry.
Next game.
Philadelphia at Carolina. This is Carolina. Bounce back game for them. I think they played a very competitive game against Dallas, who seems to be a much stronger team than Philadelphia.
Yeah.
1.52 odds is nice. I don't think that they'll cover the spread, though. I think this will be a field goal game. So I probably I'm probably gonna lay my money on the spread of Philadelphia, the plus 3.5, and I'll take the under in this game as well.
Yeah, both teams are not like super high scoring, so that makes sense.
Tennessee at Jacksonville, today's highlighted game of the day.
And yet,
In our
look
podcast.
where you're about to go.
Oh yeah, I'm taking Jacksonville.
Oh my God.
And then, they bumped up to 2.73. So Jacksonville at home, they're going to get their first win of the year, and the Lions will be the only 0-5 team going forward.
So we had to have a really quick conversation then about the fact that in all of our fantasy talk, we said don't pick up any of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
That's
and yet we're going to
fantasy.
say they're going to pay them.
We also didn't say anything about James Robinson.
Correct.
James Robinson could be the one that runs it in. Titans defense sucks.
Trevor Lawrence is a baller. He is going to slowly develop this year and get better and better. The only reason I'm taking Jacksonville is, number one, the odds are phenomenal.
Yeah.
They're at home. They have a chance to win their first game. And the Titans defense looks awful. Swiss cheese, man.
Swiss
If
cheese.
the Jets can beat the Titans, the Jaguars can beat the Titans. It's very unlikely, don't get me wrong, but I'm taking the Jacksonville Jaguars, which means I'm taking the spread. I'm going to take the over as well.
Over. Yeah, I mean, competitive game.
Chicago at Las Vegas. Man, big part of me wants to put money on Chicago here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna though.
I'm not gonna do that.
I am gonna put money on Las Vegas. I have it down here that I'm taking the Vegas spread, but I'm switching that over to the Chicago Bears spread. The Bears stay within 5.5, and I'm taking the under on this game as well.
You're doing a lot of unders this week, Dave.
I'm doing a lot of unders this week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is gonna be a good, probably one of the best games of the week right here.
Yeah.
Cleveland at Los Angeles Chargers. I think the Chargers are looking too good. They're looking too
That's
good
all
right
you
now.
can pick, though.
I have to pick the Chargers money line.
That's
Really?
it. That's all you got?
That's all I have.
Everything else, you're not sure.
I don't want to touch anything
It's
else.
too tight.
Out of all the games that you went to go, and like Dave is the betting guy in this one. So anything I'm about to say is probably not relevant. But still, I just want to pick your brain a little bit, because a lot of the games that we've picked so far, you've gone with quote unquote the underdog or whatever, right? So what about this game? Because I think like Cleveland's a very good team. They very well could win. So what's making you choose LA for the money line specifically in comparison to Cleveland?
Justin Herbert.
Fair.
Justin
That's
Herbert is
the answer.
He's a game-changing quarterback. He is the best player on the field by far. Baker Mayfield is a good quarterback, but he has streaks. He has 3 to 4 weeks of bad, 3 to 4 weeks of good, 3 to 4 weeks of bad, and right now he's on a 3 to 4 week of bad. I don't think that the Browns are going to be able to go on the road and actually win this game. The only thing that keeps this game as close as it does is what the Cleveland Browns do every week. They're very good at running the ball. And they're very good at killing the clock. But I think that Justin Herbert and his offense is too efficient to not score quickly and keep the points coming. So I think this is going to be one of the best games to watch. I'm excited for it. The Browns could very well win this game. That's why it's such a close spread.
And that's why you're not picking anything. You want to watch it.
That's why
and you don't want to have the money to make you nervous.
If I had to put anything down, I'm going to put some money on the money line for the Chargers, which seems to be growing, which I'm happy about. People are leaning towards the Browns.
Gonna be tight.
Oh, this game, wow. Giants at the Cowboys, it's Cowboys. That being said, the Giants could stay within 7. I would think you could take the Giants spread here.
That'd be a way to be able to get a decent little payback.
Division
I think it's
rivals.
over though.
Always close games, over for sure.
For sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we're getting down to the nitty gritty. This is going to be a good game, too. Another division rivalry game. The Niners at the Cardinals.
Been waiting all day for a Sunday night.
You'll notice a trend here when there's a division rivalry.
It's not the
when
Sunday
the
night
favorite
game.
team.
It is.
No,
It's not.
it's not.
You just did all of that and embarrassed us.
Buffalo Chiefs next game will be the Sunday night game.
Oh, I thought that's what we were talking about.
No,
Sorry.
not yet.
I'm
No.
so excited for that game.
So you'll notice here, I have a pretty good trend with it. When it comes to a division game, especially if the home team is favored, you take the home team, but you take the visiting team's spread. Because those games are always so close. You never know which way they might go. Punt return, fumble return. Good defense in the Niners. Very good run defenses or run offense as well. But I just think that the Cardinals are the best team in the NFL right now, and they're going to prove it again at home. Take their money line, take the under, be a messy game, but the Cardinals will win the game.
I agree.
Good call.
Good call.
Cardinals.
Now,
All right, Luke, you
Luke's
can-
been waiting all day for Sunday
There
night.
we go. I got it.
Yeah.
Yay.
This is going to be a good game, too. Bills at Chiefs. This line for the Bills keeps growing, and it makes me happy.
Crazy.
2.19 Bills on the road. Sorry, 2.24 now.
2.24
Sorry,
now,
yeah, it went up.
2.24 for the Bills on the road. I'm taking it. So you're taking the 3-point spread, and I'm taking
56 and a half.
the under. Taking an under.
It'll be close to that.
Yes.
Defense.
close to
You're
that.
kind of like a defensive game coming
Bills
out.
defense
and-
is going to be stellar.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to.
Definitely not the Chiefs.
But it's kind of been a theme this year so far, because we look at games like the Minnesota game last week and things we were like, this is gonna be a shootout, like two like really good offenses that could do really well, and then all of a sudden it just becomes like a tight game. It's just
It'll be
I
like
think it'll be the same thing
27,
again.
24, 28, 23, something weird like that, right?
Yeah.
It'll be close to
It'll be a
56,
good
but-
competitive game, but not like 30 something to 40 something.
Correct.
Yeah. Valid.
I mean, for fantasy, I hope not. I hope it isn't over, but...
Yeah.
And then the Ravens get their second Monday Nighter of the year already, which is kind of strange
in
to
5
see.
weeks.
Yeah, to see that they're getting that kind of publicity when they're so injured. It's silly. They're favored significantly, 1.3 on the payout. I think that's the safe bet. Ravens at home, Monday Nighter.
Playing the glass.
Yeah, they're playing Carson Wentz. This might be his last game of the year. Like the Ravens.
Could be.
The Ravens bring the kind of the craziest amount of blitz you'll see in the NFL when it comes to
they really
schemes.
do. Yeah.
I don't think they'll win by more than 7, though. I do think that you can be a safe bet would be to take the Colts spread. And I think this will be an over as well.
An over.
An over, yeah. There's a lot of injuries in Baltimore's defense.
It's true.
From what I've seen of the Colts, they really haven't proven me that they are a top-notch defense like they used to be.
Jonathan Taylor could just run it up, and then Lamar has to compete back, so makes sense.
All right.
We've got one last one left, Davey.
I got to put it all together again because of changes
of
the bet of the lines here.
I'll throw this out to people as you're getting it ready.
Set up my alley-oop, bud.
The last part of our spreads and our bets conversation is going to be laying it small on the line. Our send-off to you before ending this episode is our risk it for the biscuit, you might say. So here, we'll tell you about 3 to 6 game parlay bet we think could hit. And if it does, you're going to make some big coin. Dave, give them some money.
I am sitting with $100 down, wins you $1,889.
Ooh.
So, and obviously if you bet $10, you're, move the decimal over one, right? Almost 200 bones in your pocket. We are taking the Jets money line. Start off your Sunday morning at 9:30. Just get ready for some beautiful football all day. Take the Jets at home in London. We're gonna also take the Broncos visiting money line.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna take the Chargers at home money line, and we're gonna take the Bills on the road money line.
This could all hit, man.
The risk it for the biscuit.
I don't go like I'm gonna put $2 on every underdog and maybe it'll happen. No, I choose 3 to 6 teams or 3 to 6 games I think that have good odds and are worth you actually putting the risk of your own money on the line to hopefully win back some big cash.
Games that could definitely be hits.
Yeah.
We could very much
it.
be getting some messages right after the 2:00 games.
Right after that morning game when the Jets
lose.
Like
this portion is the you're laying it small on the line, right? You're gonna put some money down.
Some little risks, some big rewards.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, everybody out there, thanks again for tuning in. We definitely appreciate it. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe with all of our content. We definitely want you guys to get this out to all your other friends who are following along as well. If you like fantasy football, if you're doing sports bets, if you like football in general, this is definitely somewhere you want to be. Again, follow us on YouTube, all of our social medias. We do our audio in Spotify, Podbean, and Apple as well. We are signing off.